Welcome everyone to the Open Source Days 2021, the third iteration of Open Source Day. I am glad to open the conference today. My name is David Morin. I'm the Executive Director of the Academy Software Foundation. In the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to give you an overview of a various number of things, starting with some housekeeping for the conference itself, and then some progress reports on our foundation and all that we have come to be since last year. Our agenda for the conference is packed, as you have seen, I'm sure, as you looked on the registration page, all the presentations that we have, a combination of panels, important meetings and updates about our projects and our working groups. Also, now this year, a strong showing of our working groups, the various group of folks who are preparing the ground for the next activities that we will do in all kinds of ways. And over 2 days, today and tomorrow, we have this great sets of presentations for you. And so we hope that you will be joining us for all of them, or a large number of them. Bit of housekeeping to start with. So these sessions here are being recorded. The recording will be posted on our YouTube channel at the link that you see there. The presentations from last year's Open Source Days are there already. They've been all year. You can please introduce yourself in the chat room. That would be great. And you can also ask question in the chat room. You can raise your hand if you want to ask a question live. And be prepared, we will have a few polls in various presentation, and we will have one actually a test of that just in a few seconds. So when there is a poll, be prepared to enter either your input or your question in the way that we're going to look at right now. So here's a poll to get us warmed up. So in order to participate in this poll, you look at the top of the screen here, the link that you see, pollev.com/ASWF. You enter that in your browser, in your phone, or any one of your devices, and that will bring you to these list of answers. And there we have some fast movers who've already looked into it. So who is your favorite action hero? Is the question of the moment. I personally went to see Jungle Cruise last weekend, so my preference goes to Dwayne Johnson, who I thought did a good performance in that, but I won't enter it not to skew the voting. And so if you want to kind of do that, then take the time to get to the link, and then you will be ready to participate in our other polls as they follow up. So we see that Charlize Theron is in the lead, which is good. She has won a few times at that poll, but Scarlett Johansson's moving ahead, our favorite Avenger, and other things. No one's voting for Arnold. I guess maybe the time for Arnold has passed. Is that what it means? I don't know. We have 19 people who have voted at this time. We have we have 60 people on this presentation at the moment. So please go right in and sign up for the poll. You'll be ready when we ask more questions. I see one person who likes Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's a good thing. Arnold, he did a lot for our film and visual effects and animation industry. Deserved a few votes. All right, 30 people participating. That is great. We're going to move on to the next poll. So this is a different type of poll. You now are able to enter an answer to that question, general question. What is your leading challenge at work today? So we'd like to know when you go to work, what is the main thing that preoccupies you on top of mind as you work in our industry? Remote reviews, that's a good one. Prioritization. So as people enter their own answers, you are able to vote for them, to rank them. So you see those answers showing on your phone or on your browser, and you can go give them a ranking, vote them up or down. So if you want to do that now, we're going to start to see that number 0 going up or down. And that's a way for us to rank a question on what you think. If you think prioritization is your thing, you don't need to write it again. You can just vote for that one. And for anyone that you, any other that you feel would be good to have. And we will use that for more specific questions down the line and as part of the Q&A for our panel session a little bit later down the line. So it sounds like prioritization is our main issue. Too much to do, too much multitasking. What comes first? That makes sense. I feel like that. All right. So we will use that type of poll later. Thank you for your answers. So now I want to do a brief overview of our Academy Software Foundation, give you some points, data points before we move into our panel. So at the highest level, and we'll come back to that with our panel in less than 10 minutes, why open source? It's a question worth asking at the beginning like this. And it is because of these points. Software development always has a cost, that it is open source or that it is commercial. And in development, maintenance, documentation, and training, and what the open source ecosystem does now in our industry with the Academy Software Foundation or in many other industries is we share those costs. We share those costs through the companies that participate, through the individuals who come in and volunteer because they want to, because they have a need for that particular type of software. And we all work on it together. It empowers the development, it empowers developers to lead the development and to do what's the right thing to do. So at the highest level, that's why open source is beneficial more and more over the last 20 years. The growth of the open source movement have been tremendous. And so why the Academy Software Foundation? We had some specifics when we created the foundation. There were questions about licensing of open source software in our industry that we needed to address. We thought we needed a continuous integration and build infrastructure that's common to many of our open source projects. There would be a great benefit to that. We wanted a clear path for contribution, as when the projects were each one in their own companies, even though they were open source, there was each one of them had a different way to be developed and to interact with. We wanted to help bring that a more neutral forum. We had some governance issues on some of the projects. How do you replace a maintainer when they go away to do other things? And there was a problem called versionitis, which was also addressed since then greatly, not just by us at the foundation, but by the VES Technology Committee. And here you see the timeline of our evolution. The foundation was created after a 2 years investigation that concluded in May 2018 at the Academy of Motion Picture Art and Science at the SciTech Council, an investigation that was led by Rob Bredow. And the recommendation at the end was to create the foundation. It was created on August 10, 2018, which is 3 years ago from today. And we had a number of companies who joined as founding members. They're there on the left. Then you see the sequence of milestones that happened since then. Other companies joining us, written in white, and the projects that were submitted to the foundation, starting with OpenVDB in gold, and OpenVDB, OpenColor.io, and just all the way up to MaterialX that just became a project adopted in the foundation, and the new members, Maxon and Tangent Animation, who also just joined us as we announced a few days ago. So our projects, we now have 7 of them. And when you look at this list, you see pretty fundamental pieces of software that are used throughout our film industry and in other industry as well, in television now a lot, and broader media industries. These are the core open source projects that our foundation is built on. We also have working groups that are developing and taking an increased role as we move forward. This is where we ask ourselves questions about specific topics that we may or may not want to follow up on. This is a place for doing deep dive explorations and to get the industry around a particular topic. Some of them, like the asset repository, most of them have an update at this conference that I encourage you to go see. And for instance, Asset Repository has great updates of the hard work they've been doing in the last 6 months. So go and see them. USD Working Group also. I don't want to make preference, but all of them have great updates, and you can participate in those working group if they are of interest to you. We encourage you to do so. A quote from our diversity and inclusion working group, one of our most vibrant. Open source has the power to break down racial, gender, and corporate barriers to unite people around a shared goal. That can be said of many projects and many products in the industry, but open source has this culture that is actually more, that leads to a more diverse approach by its fundamental nature. And so our diversity and inclusion working group has been very active, and we will hear more about them. They have an update as well. Our membership, so these are companies that have joined the foundation, not because they have to, but because they want to. These are companies that have contributed, in the case of Premier and General members, a little bit of money, and in the case of Premier members, a commitment of engineering time on our projects. And they join because they believe in our cause and they want to help in proactively being a member. You don't have to be a member in your company. If your company's name is not here, you don't have to be there to take advantage of our projects, of the work we do. It's open source, so you can use them as they are and use them, contribute to them just like anyone else. But please join us if you believe that our cause is important, if you believe that we should have an open source, vibrant open source platform for the film industry, and you want to participate, get in touch and join that list of great companies that have created the foundation so far. This is our structure. The TAC is the heart and the brain of our foundation. It's made of the engineers who are working on each one of the projects. Each one of the projects there has a technical steering committee that works on the projects itself, and they get together at the TAC level. The governing board is there to help the TAC, the outreach committee to do the marketing, and the continuous integration platform is the development platform for all of the projects in time. How to contribute? You have all these different ways here, and you can get involved with the TAC and the working group. How to participate? We have all of this on our website. You can check it out. Now I want to, in the interest of time, I want to move to our panel. And as a way of introduction, there's a lot of projects in film that are beyond our own 7 projects. And we have an open source landscape on our website where you can go and explore them. More generally, outside of our own industry, there's a lot of open source foundations and projects out there. Many of them at the Linux Foundation, our partner in the Academy Software Foundation, who help run the foundation with us. And many of these projects are theirs. As we move forward into our open source fireside chat,